Hello, everybody. This is Love from Above by your Sibling Spirit Guides. I'm Maureen, and this is my brother.
Hey, Maureen. Hey, everyone. This is Brian.
Hello, Brian. We're so happy to be here. If you can believe it, on this podcast, we share daily channelings we receive from star beings, ascended masters, mythical beings who really exist, and occasionally our ancestors. And today's topic is the sun and the moon, the greater story. We're going to talk about how the moon is not a moon. The sun represents the one creator, and we're going to talk more about the great central sun. Brian, like again, we say you can't get this information at CNN.
This is not taught in your science classes, people. So, yeah, I just keep an open mind. I guess that's what I always try and do. Some of it seems strange at first, but you just have to keep an open mind. And this is the messages that we're getting and want to share with you. So, I'm going to kick us off July 23rd of 2024. Why duality exists. We are the ones known as the watchers. We watch through all space, time, space. We bring forth new information not yet available to many on your planet. This is with regard to the subterranean bases that exist in your earthly realm. These bases are primarily of an aquatic nature, so those of the highest vibration may utilize them as well. However, others are located within the depths of certain mountains. It is here where the highest beings reside. So let me just pause right there. I mean, I think we've talked about that. I've read about this, but I know a couple different spots. I thought when you were in Antarctica, that's like one, wasn't that there was some base there? I
Yeah.
mean, we've heard about the central part of Australia. We definitely heard of mountains, but and we've talked to all sorts of water beings and how there's different bases. So what comes to mind from that first part?
Well, I just love how, you know, the subterranean bases, it's a really surprise that they would be aquatic in nature. But as we've talked about before, like the highest vibrational beings on our planet are, aquatic. So, yeah, it's really, really interesting. And there are a lot of sacred spaces that we know about. So, Moria, Drunvalo how do you pronounce his name? Melchizedek. He says
Okay.
Moria is the heart of the plant, the feminine heart, and that the pyramids are the masculine. And we talked recently about how the Andes are supposed to be the feminine aspect of mountains on the planet, and the Himalayas the masculine. So, there's a lot of really sacred spaces. And then, down, it's supposed to be what, down in the Bahamas where Atlantis was. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to uncover if you want to. And there are some people who, I'm trying to think, there's a guy on Guy TV who's very well versed and travels all over the world and hunts a lot of these places down. So yeah, it's really interesting.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, 71% of their surface is covered by water, so it would make sense that there's all sorts of subterranean bases in the waters. But anyway, so then they go on after that, then they go on and talk about sort of the next subject is your planet is encased in the duality that exists because of the existence of one sun and one moon. However, your moon is not really a moon, but a moon that has been adapted into a lunar phase. We shall not provide a discourse at this time. So I don't know if let me just continue. That this duality causes difficulties for those who wish to follow the true path of the one. The duality breaks up the true focus path for the one who wishes to follow the course to the one creator. Instead of a straight and narrow path, there's a zigzag as the energy switches from light into shadow and light into shadow. You can see this in your own lives. as rarely will you traverse from one course straight to another. There's usually a diversion along the way. This is the inherent nature of this planet. Should the moon return to its original course, then the soul's path to the one creator would be more attainable for more people. But that is a discussion for a different day. For now, we say that what may seem like a diversion is actually on your path because of the inherent nature of the duality of the earth. The key to these diversions is to realize that they are not just a diversion, but a step along the way and to embrace them fully. That is all, dearest one. So interesting how the sun and the moon and the sun creates this duality that creates, you know, this this zigzag nature of humanity. What comes to mind for you, Maureen?
Well, I actually find this really comforting because so I'm a true believer that we manifest a reality. So then when I'm in life and I manifest something that seems like a huge obstacle, I'm like, okay, what is going on? Like, why did I bring this into my world? But I truly believe, as I said many times, everything that comes into my life is a gift, and I need to change my perception to it. But this really helps because we all always alternating from light to shadow, light to shadow, light to shadow. And there is something beautiful about being in the shadow. Like that's where we rest. That's the womb of creation. That's where you birth new things. So it's not being afraid of the shadow, but a welcoming that part of yourself. And so for me, I find it very comforting to just know that that's part of the game here on earth is you're going to be alternating from light to shadow, light to shadow, light to shadow. What about for you? What resonates with you?
Yeah, I do agree with you in that. And I think that the other thing that I did want to mention, we had a separate conversation about this before we started recording, but you know how the moon is not truly a moon. And so, I mean, that's a whole nother subject. We could go down a big rabbit hole looking into the facts behind that, but there's a lot of other information about that that I think is really interesting. And I don't think this is going to happen, but it how it said, should the moon return to its original course, the soul's path to the one creator would be more attainable for more people. So it's amazing how the moon has that type of impact on, people's lives. So it's just, you know, a lot to sort of understand here, but I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, it is. So I'll continue on with another message with more on the moon, but first they begin with about life is a collaborative process, and this is from August 21st, 2025. So this is really funny. So this message began, and a lot of times the language is like really, I mean, it's just really hard for me to transcribe because it's just, huge words. And I had asked them, I'm like, okay, can you please simplify your language? And so they said, we shall attempt to simplify our language in accordance with your instructions. One moment as we adjust to your request. Okay, kids, let us begin. Isn't that funny, Brian?
They have to speak down to like we're kids, but yeah.
Okay, kids, let us begin. We do so love to engage the light bearers of human earth. Oh, darling children, we come forth now with urgent amplifications necessary to augment your own illustrious selves. Our amplifications are like a three-way mirror used in a dressing room when you're trying on clothes. Our light provides further examples of your own magnificent glorification. How to simplify and categorize these trivial concerns of humanity? We ask this question. Are you the determiner of your fate? Do you establish all that occurs in your world? Do you paint the colors of the sky? Do you ground the stones for your walkways? Do you personally build your houses? No. This is a collaborative process. The same is true for life. Your hopes and dreams or fears are not engineered by your own particular thoughts alone. It is engaged within the communities you lived in. In sync, two people can accomplish more than an army. Two people can accomplish more than a well-trained general or a CEO with thousands trained in their workforce. So I'm going to pause right there. Brian, what do you think of that inspirational message?
Yeah, that's a great message about what you can accomplish. But I know it's so true. I mean, you got to collaborate and work with others in every part of your life. It's no different from, you know, your spiritual life. It's how it's a collaborative process.
Well, I love their examples. Do you paint the colors of the sky? Do you ground the stones for your walkways? Do you personally build your house? Because everyone believes, us included, that we're in control of our lives. And guess what? You're not, it's a collaborative process. So, yeah, that really helps to pull back from your interior life so you can see the greater structure that's there. But anyway, they go on to discuss the moon. The moon, we wish to discuss the lunar objects in your nighttime sky. The moon provides a hallowed light for those who gaze upon its ultimate glory. The moon suffices to act as an arbitrator between the forces of light and the forces of might. Both are present on your ever present moon, withdrawing to their sacred spaces. We shall say no more for waking fear of waking the deep internal beast. Brian, what is going on there? The deep eternal beast,
I was
forces
just,
of light and forces of might. I mean, we always hear these stories how there's like, bases on the dark side of the moon. So I don't
right.
know. Forces of light, forces of might. We're not going to say any more for waking the deep internal beast. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I think we've talked about that, right? Yeah, that there are on the other side of the moon some bases or something, but it's interesting. I do not know what to make of the deep eternal beast. I don't want to wake the deep eternal beast either. So I guess.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's move on. Let's not wake the deep eternal beast.
So I'll continue. April 3rd, 2025. The sun represents the one creator. Dearest one, we turn to matters of the sun and moon. We regale you with stories of the past when the ancients noticed the stars and reported upon their movements to their peoples. These days shall soon return to your peoples as well. The sun is an always present reminder of the ever present light of the one creator. We worship the sun in absentia, for the comprehension of the one creator is too vast for many minds to understand. In this way, we replicate the desirable characteristics of the one with the ever present sun. We fear that you do not fully grasp what we're saying. We search for a suitable analogy. We have found an apt story to tell your people. Say that you're a child and you wear the jewelry of your grandmother, even though it is not designed for you. It still is fitting on your personage. Your adults will find you gloriously adorable, adorned with such jewels. It matters not if these jewels are yours or another's, you can put them on. In the same way, it doesn't matter if you truly understand the concept of worshiping the sun as a substitute for the one creator whose magnificence is incomprehensible to humankind. As you utilize this practice, you'll grow from the child who looks adorable in his or her grandmother's jewels, and you'll grow into a person who is fittingly appropriate to wear the crown of everlasting glory. Now you see the message of our meaning. This is a good practice to utilize. We remind you of this as your ancient peoples utilize the practice to benefit their nations. That is all. Interesting. So, what is your biggest, or what comes to mind from this message?
Well, I have two things, and I think of ancient peoples. I'm going to be returning to the island of the sun, where Thoth lived for centuries. And there is, he lived on the island of the sun, and there were temples of the sun. And obviously, those ancient peoples worshiped the sun. And then the big one who fascinates me, Brian. Brian, I say again, we're putting on our future. I'm going back to Egypt with you. But Akhenaten ruled for 17 and a half years, and he totally changed the religion of Egypt and to worshiping the sun. And all of our listeners will know Akhenaten because his wife was Nefertiti. I know everybody's heard of Nefertiti, but yeah, and not worshiping the sun as the sun is God, but this, that the sun is so brilliant and light, you can't even like directly look at it. So it's the perfect representation of the magnificent glory of the one, the all, because you can't even comprehend it. You can't even really look at it. So it's not that the sun is the God, but it's a representation that we can feel and experience in our daily life. I love this analogy. It's a good practice to have. And if we do it, then we'll be like the child who grows into the crown of everlasting glory.
Yeah, it's well put. I mean, it's yeah, the sun is worshiping the sun as a substitute for the one creator whose magnificence is incomprehensible to humankind. But I mean, you get the scope of it. That's what I think is the key takeaway for me from this one.
Yeah. So I'm going to close up off. I think this is from our second session ever that we channeled, and it's about the central sun. So this was from September 23rd, 2023. To the ones known as Maureen and as Brian, we wish to welcome you into these sacred events of the activation of the One. To be acknowledged as a participant in this circle requires a daily dedication to the powers within. Look no further than your own physical self, for all the answers are contained within. You are star seeds activating the energetic portal that is opening at this time. The work required is immensely important. We wish for you at this time to acknowledge the great central sun, the birthplace of all creation, the wheelhouse of the energetic locomotion that propels all creation forward. To acknowledge the sun in its central position is to acknowledge the existence of life. Wow. What do you have to say to that, brother?
Yeah, I think we've mentioned the central sun before in other podcasts. And it's, I know it's just something that doesn't come up a lot and most people aren't really aware of it, but it's symbolizing, the God or higher consciousness. So I appreciate that. What else comes to mind for you?
Well, I honestly, for me personally, I just love this. This is one of our earliest messages, and it's special to me for that reason. But yeah, it's interesting. This great central sun, there's not a lot of information about it. Brian and I have read about it occasionally in different texts, but supposedly this is where all universes are spawned. Like this is, like they say, the birthplace of all creation. So, yeah, I mean, we can only imagine how impactful our sun is. And if our sun is a baby compared to the great central sun, like
Right.
we can we can imagine the magnitude of what that sun must be like. So, yeah, and just bow to its glory, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, hope you all have found benefit in this. And again, we remind you we've got volume one of Love from Above, which has the complete channelings. So, you can look at all of the sessions for the first 6 months after we receive contact. And that's on Amazon and Kindle and Nook. And we thank you all for listening.
Bye, everyone.